Have you ever faced a choice that could change your entire life? Imagine on an ordinary morning, your own family gives you an ultimatum: hand over your retirement money or be sent to a nursing home that very day. But instead of fear, you smile, pick up your suitcase, and walk out to start over at 69. This is the story of Hillary Wilson, a journey of reclaiming freedom and dignity, and a powerful reminder that anyone, anywhere, can rewrite their own destiny. Where are you watching or reading this story from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. I'd love to see how far Hillary's journey has reached. And don't forget to share your thoughts or your own experiences about moments when you had to stand up for yourself. I read every single comment. The morning light filtered softly through the kitchen window, illuminating the faded floral curtains and the familiar clutter of a house that was never quite her own. Hillary Wilson's hands, marked by age and years of care, moved with practiced precision as she flipped pancakes for her grandchildren. The scent of butter and maple syrup filled the air a sweet comfort, though it could not quite mask the tension that always thickened when Ashley was home. Ashley appeared in the doorway, her silk robe immaculate, her hair perfectly styled even at 7 o'clock. "Hillary, we need to talk," she announced, her voice cool and businesslike. Hillary kept her gaze on the pancakes, knowing too well that looking Ashley in the eye during these talks only gave her daughter-in-law more ammunition. Ashley poured herself coffee into the mug that used to be Hillary's, a gift from Frank, her late husband, on their 40th anniversary. The children finished eating and scampered upstairs to prepare for school. James, her son, had already left for work, or so Ashley claimed. Hillary had learned to question everything these days. Ashley sat across from her at the kitchen table, stirring her coffee with a deliberate calm. "James and I have been talking. You know how tight things have been financially?" Hillary nodded. She did know, though not because they were truly struggling. James's architectural firm was doing well. But Ashley had a way of making every penny Hillary owned seem as if it rightfully belonged to them. "We think it would make sense if you contributed more to the household," Ashley continued, her tone as casual as if discussing the weather. "I already give you half my pension," Hillary replied gently, thinking of the years Frank had worked to secure that modest sum. Ashley's smile tightened. "Yes, but that's hardly enough with today's economy. We're providing you with a roof, food, and taking care of you." "Taking care of me?" Hillary nearly laughed. She was the one who cooked, cleaned, and raised the children while Ashley and James built their careers. At 69, Hillary was still capable in independent qualities that seemed to irritate Ashley more each day. "What are you suggesting?" Hillary asked. Though she already knew, Ashley's eyes narrowed, the mask of concern slipping just enough to reveal calculation. "All of it? Hillary, we need all of your pension. It's the reasonable thing to do, considering everything we do for you." Hillary's heart pounded, but she kept her face neutral. "And if I say no," Ashley's expression changed completely, the facade dropping to reveal the coldness beneath. "Then I don't think we can continue this arrangement. There's a nice assisted living facility on Westbrook Avenue. James and I toured it last week. The betrayal stung. They'd been planning this." "So, those are my options." Hillary's voice was steady. "Give you my entire income or go to a home." Ashley leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Let's be honest, Hillary, you're becoming a burden. Either you contribute financially in a meaningful way, or you go to the home today." For a moment, Hillary just stared at her. This woman had systematically worked to isolate her from her own son and take everything she had. But instead of the fear or anger Ashley expected, Hillary felt something else entirely: relief. She smiled. Ashley's composure faltered. You find this amusing, she snapped. No, Hillary replied, rising from the table. I find it clarifying. She walked up to her room and retrieved the suitcase she'd packed 3 weeks ago. After overhearing Ashley's phone call about retirement homes, she'd been waiting for this moment, preparing for it. When she returned downstairs, Ashley stood at the bottom of the staircase, arms crossed. What do you think you're doing? Taking the second option, Hillary said calmly. I'm leaving. Ashley's confidence wavered. You're being ridiculous. Where would you even go? That's no longer your concern, Hillary replied, moving past her toward the door. James won't stand for this, Ashley called after her. You know he'll side with me. Hillary paused, turning back one last time. I know he always does. As she walked out the door, she left behind the document that would have nullified their claim to her inheritance, a paper her lawyer had prepared months ago when she first sensed Ashley's plans. What Ashley didn't know was that Frank had been smarter than any of them realized. The house they thought was paid off still had a mortgage, one that would come due without Hillary's pension to cover it. She stepped into the sunshine, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Sometimes freedom came in the strangest packages. For Hillary, it came in the form of her daughter-in-law's ultimatum: either give us your pension or go to a home today. She chose to leave, and she never looked back. That first night, sitting in Meredith's guest bedroom, Hillary felt like she could finally breathe after years of suffocating. Her best friend of 40 years hadn't asked questions. When Hillary called that morning, she simply said, I'll make up the spare room, and that was that. You know, you can stay as long as you need, Meredith said, setting a cup of tea beside her. The house smelled of cinnamon and old books, comforting. Safe. It won't be long, Hillary promised. I've been preparing for this. Meredith sat on the edge of the bed. How long have you known Ashley would eventually try to take everything since Frank died? Hillary admitted. Maybe even before. The signs had been there from the beginning, though she'd tried to dismiss them. When James first brought Ashley home 15 years ago, she'd eyed their modest house with a calculating gaze, asking pointed questions about property values. After the wedding, the comments started subtle at first, then increasingly bold. This china set must be worth something, Ashley would say, examining Hillary's mother's dishes. Have you had it appraised? When Frank died 6 years ago, Ashley and James insisted Hillary sell her home and move in with them. It's too big for you now, they said. You'll be lonely, they said. What they meant was, your house is valuable, and we want the money. Hillary agreed because she wanted to be near her grandchildren, Emma and Lucas. But from the day she moved in, Ashley began the systematic process of diminishing her. She thought I was giving her everything, Hillary explained to Meredith, but Frank was always 3 steps ahead. A small smile crossed her face as she remembered her practical, quiet husband. People underestimated Frank, with his gentle manner and unassuming presence, but he had been watching Ashley for years, noticing what Hillary noticed. 2 weeks before cancer took him, Frank made changes to their will and finances. He set up a separate account that only Hillary knew about. Every month, she'd been transferring small amounts into it from her pension, not enough for Ashley to notice, but enough to build a safety net. How much, Meredith asked, eyes wide. Enough for a small apartment and about 3 years of modest living, Hillary said. And then there's the insurance policy. The life insurance policy was Frank's master stroke. Instead of naming James as the beneficiary, as everyone assumed, Frank had created a trust that would only pay out when Hillary turned 70 or if she was forced from her home. Her 70th birthday was just 4 months away. Ashley doesn't know about any of this, Hillary continued. She thinks my pension is my only income and the house I left behind is my only asset. What about James? Meredith asked gently. Is there any hope for him? The question made Hillary's heart ache. Her only child had slowly transformed from a kind, thoughtful boy into a man she barely recognized. A man who stood silently by while his wife systematically isolated and belittled his mother. I don't know, Hillary admitted. Ashley has him convinced I'm becoming forgetful, that I can't manage my own affairs. She's been laying that groundwork for years. It started with small things moving my belongings, insisting I'd misplaced them. Are you sure you put your glasses there, Hillary? You seem confused lately. Then came the whispered conversations with James that would stop when I entered the room, the concerned looks, the increased control over my daily life. Last month, she took my car keys, claimed I had a fender bender at the grocery store. I didn't. She just wanted me completely dependent. But you kept records, didn't you? Meredith said. I know you. Hillary Wilson. You wouldn't let this happen without documentation. Hillary smiled and patted the small notebook she kept in her sweater pocket. Every incident, every missing item, every time money disappeared from her wallet, every doctor's appointment Ashley insisted on attending, every time she told James Hillary was confused when she was perfectly lucid. The day after Frank's funeral, Ashley had orchestrated a meeting with their family doctor. We're concerned about Hillary's memory, she'd said, while Hillary sat there, still raw with grief. The doctor found nothing wrong, but Ashley had planted the seed with James. From then on, every minor forgetfulness became evidence of her supposed decline. The worst part, Hillary said, her voice breaking slightly, was what she did with the grandchildren, telling them not to bother me because Grandma needs rest. Intercepting the Mother's Day cards they made me, claiming I'd lost them, making me feel like I was too fragile to care for them when caring for them was all that kept me going after Frank died. Meredith squeezed her hand. You were the one who raised them while Ashley and James worked. You were the one who nursed them through chicken pox and taught them to read. That's why I finally left, Hillary said, feeling a sudden certainty. I couldn't let Emma and Lucas grow up thinking it's acceptable to treat someone that way. I couldn't let them see their grandmother diminished day by day. As she spoke, her phone lit up with a message. It was from James' mom. What are you doing? Come home right now. Ashley is worried sick about you. Hillary showed Meredith the message and shook her head. Ashley isn't worried about me. She's worried about her access to my pension. Meredith looked at her with concern. What will you do now? Hillary set the phone down without responding. For the first time in years, she felt the stirring of something she hadn't experienced in a long time possibility. Now, she said quietly, I live. The first days away from the house that had never truly been hers felt both liberating and terrifying. Hillary awoke in Meredith's guest room, the scent of cinnamon and old books wrapping around her like a gentle embrace. For the first time in years, she slept through the night without waking to the sound of Ashley's footsteps or the creak of her door opening for a wellness check. Meredith, ever the practical friend, had already brewed coffee and set out a plate of toast. Eat, she said, sliding the mug across the table. We have a busy day ahead. Hillary managed a smile. You always did know how to take charge. That's why you called me, Meredith replied, her eyes twinkling with mischief and concern. Now, what's first on the list? Hillary hesitated. The reality of her situation pressed in. She was nearly 70, with no permanent home, and only a modest sum in her private account. The thought of finding a new apartment, dealing with paperwork, and starting over was daunting. I suppose I need to find a place to live, Hillary said quietly. Meredith nodded. We'll start with the listings. And you'll call that lawyer of Frank's, what's his name, Mr. Carter? Hillary replied, He's the only one who knows about the trust Frank set up. Good. You'll call him today. No more waiting. The day passed in a blur of phone calls and online searches. Hillary's hands trembled as she dialed Mr. Carter's number, but his calm, reassuring voice steadied her. Mrs. Wilson, I've been expecting your call. Frank was very clear in his instructions. The trust is active, and you have full access to the funds for housing, living expenses, and legal support if necessary. A wave of relief washed over Hillary. She hadn't realized how much she doubted Frank's preparations until now. By evening, Hillary and Meredith had toured two small apartments. The first was dark and cramped, but the second, a sunny one-bedroom in a building for seniors, felt right. The manager, a kind woman named Mrs. Patel, welcomed Hillary warmly. You'll find friends here, Mrs. Patel promised. We have a book club, art classes, and a lovely garden. Hillary signed the lease, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. She was doing this. She was building a new life. That night, as she unpacked her suitcase in her new apartment, Hillary allowed herself to cry. Not for what she had lost, but for what she had finally found freedom. The next morning, Hillary's phone buzzed with a message from James' mom. What are you doing? Come home right now. Ashley is worried sick about you. Hillary stared at the screen, her emotions swirling. She knew Ashley wasn't worried about her. She was worried about the pension. Still, James was her son. She owed him an explanation. She agreed to meet him at a coffee shop downtown. James arrived looking tired, his eyes shadowed, his hair messier than usual. For a moment, Hillary saw the boy he used to be, the one who'd run to her after scraping his knee. You look good, Mom, he said, sounding surprised. Did you expect otherwise? Hillary replied, her tone gentle but firm. James fidgeted. Ashley said you were confused. Maybe having a breakdown. Of course she did. Hillary sipped her tea. And what do you think now that you see me? James looked away. I don't know what to think. You just left. No warning. We both know that's not true, Hillary said softly. The warning signs were there for years. You chose not to see them. James's jaw tightened. Ashley says you've been paranoid, imagining things. Hillary reached into her purse and pulled out her small notebook. May 3rd, last year, she began. Ashley told you I forgot to turn off the stove. The truth. She unplugged the kettle and called you at work, claiming I'd left the stove on. June 15th. She said I was wandering around confused. The truth, I was looking for my reading glasses, which I later found in Ashley's nightstand. James stared at her, incredulous. You've been keeping notes I had to. Hillary replied, it was the only way to keep track of reality when Ashley was constantly rewriting it. James ran a hand through his hair. I don't know what to believe. Ask yourself this, Hillary said quietly. Since I've been gone, has Ashley been more concerned about my welfare or about my pension? James's silence was answer enough. How are Emma and Lucas? Hillary asked, her voice trembling at the mention of her grandchildren. James's expression softened. They miss you. Lucas keeps asking when Grandma is coming home. And what do you tell them that you needed some time away? James admitted. Ashley told them you were sick and needed special care. I'm not sick. James, Hillary said, her voice firm. I'm finally well. For the first time in years, I'm making my own decisions. James looked skeptical. By moving into some temporary apartment all alone, that's what wellness looks like to you. It's not temporary. I signed a year lease yesterday. With what money? Your father was smarter than either of us gave him credit for. Hillary said, he saw what was happening long before I did. James fell silent, absorbing this. Was it really that bad living with us? He asked quietly. Living with my grandchildren was a joy, Hillary said. Living under Ashley's control was slowly killing me. Daisy. James's phone buzzed with a text. He glanced at it, then put it away without responding. She's worried, he said. She's worried about losing control, Hillary corrected gently. James, I didn't come here to drive a wedge between you and Ashley, but I won't be manipulated anymore. What do you want? Then I want to see my grandchildren. No supervision. No Ashley hovering and interpreting everything I say as a sign of mental decline. James hesitated, then nodded. I'll bring them to the park this Saturday. 2 hours. Thank you, Hillary said, her gratitude genuine, as they parted. James asked, Are you really okay? Mom. Hillary smiled fully for the first time in years. I'm taking a watercolor class on Tuesdays. I'm having dinner with Meredith and her friends on Thursdays. I'm reading novels until midnight if I want to. Yes, James, I'm really okay. Walking back to her apartment, Hillary felt lighter. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Her new place was small, just a one-bedroom unit in a senior-friendly building, but it was hers. No one moved her things. No one questioned her decisions. No one made her feel less than. When she reached her door, she noticed a folded paper that had been slipped underneath. Opening it, she found a note from her neighbor across the hall. Robert. He was inviting residents to a social gathering and in the community room that evening. Hillary hesitated only briefly before deciding to go. This was her new life, one where she said yes to new experiences and connections. That evening, as she chatted with her new neighbors, she found herself sharing parts of her story with Robert, a kind-eyed widower who had moved to the building after his wife's passing 2 years ago. It takes courage to start over at our age, he said, his voice warm with understanding. I'm finding that it takes more courage to stay in a situation that diminishes you. Hillary replied. He nodded thoughtfully. My Margaret used to say that it's never too late to become who you might have been. Your Margaret sounds wise. She was. His smile was tinged with both sadness and fondness. She also would have liked you very much, for the first time in years. Hillary felt a flutter of something unexpected possibility, not just for friendship, but for whatever might come next in this new chapter of her life. As she walked back to her apartment that night, Hillary realized that in leaving behind the security of what she knew, she had found something far more valuable: freedom, and the promise of a life she could finally call her own. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear, sunlight streaming through the curtains of Hillary's small apartment. She moved about her kitchen with a sense of anticipation and nervousness, arranging cookies on a plate and preparing hot chocolate just the way Lucas liked it with extra mini marshmallows. Today was her scheduled visit with her grandchildren, and she wanted everything to be perfect. A sharp knock at the door startled her. She glanced at the clock. James wasn't supposed to bring the children for another hour. When she opened the door, her heart sank. Ashley stood there, her expression tight and her eyes flashing with barely contained anger. Without waiting for an invitation, Ashley swept into the apartment, her gaze critical as she took in the modest but cozy space. So, this is where you've been hiding? Ashley's voice was icy. Hillary closed the door calmly, though her hands trembled slightly. I'm not hiding. Ashley, I'm living. Ashley turned, arms crossed, her stance confrontational. We found the will, Hillary. So that's what this was about all along. Hillary met her gaze evenly, refusing to be intimidated. Frank changed the will before he died. Everything is in a trust now. Ashley's face darkened. You've been deceiving us, playing the helpless old woman, making us think you needed our care, when all along you were planning this. I never pretended to be helpless. You decided I was, Hillary replied, her voice steady. Ashley stepped closer, her voice dropping. James might fall for your act, but I know what you're doing. You're trying to turn him against me. If that were my goal, I wouldn't have to do anything, Hillary said quietly. Your actions speak for themselves. Ashley's composure faltered for a moment, but she quickly regained it. You think you're so clever, but the will says everything goes to James. Everything. Hillary didn't correct her misunderstanding. Let Ashley believe she had the upper hand for now. Why are you here, Ashley? The children aren't due for another hour. That's not happening anymore, Ashley said, a satisfied smile on her lips. James and I decided it's not good for the children to be exposed to your instability. The word stung, but Hillary refused to show it. That's not what James and I agreed to. James listens to his wife, not his manipulative mother. Ashley shot back. She glanced at the cookies and hot chocolate. You should save those for yourself. You'll be eating alone. As Ashley turned to leave, her eyes landed on an envelope from the trust company on Hillary's table. She snatched it up before Hillary could react. What's this, another secret that's private? Hillary said, keeping her voice calm. Ashley tore open the envelope and scanned the statement inside. Her face paled as she read the figures. $2 million in a trust that Frank set up. You deceived us all this time. Playing the poor widow? Making you think I was a burden was your narrative. Ashley, not mine. I never asked for anything except respect. Ashley's voice trembled with rage. James will contest this. That money belongs to our family. It is with the family, Hillary replied quietly. Just not the part of the family you control. Ashley's eyes narrowed. What does that mean? It means Frank set up educational trusts for Emma and Lucas. When they turn 21, they'll each have enough for college and a solid start in life. Ashley was speechless. What about James? What about us? James will receive a portion. Yes, but not while I'm alive, and not if there's evidence of elder abuse. The color drained from Ashley's face. Elder abuse? You can't be serious. Hillary reached for her notebook, the one containing years of documented incidents. Every episode you invented. Every time you moved my belongings to make me think I was losing my mind. Every time you intercepted my mail, controlled my medication, or isolated me from friends. It's all here. For once. Ashley seemed at a loss for words. Her perfect facade cracked, revealing the calculating woman beneath. You won't win this, she finally said, but her voice lacked conviction. I already have, Hillary replied quietly. Now, please leave. I'm expecting my grandchildren. I told you they're not coming. Hillary smiled and reached for her phone. Let's see about that. She dialed James's number and put the call on speaker. He answered on the second ring. Mom, I'm just getting the kids ready, James. Hillary interrupted gently. Ashley is here. A long silence followed, then James's voice, tight with anger. Put her on. Hillary held the phone out to Ashley, whose confident mask had crumbled entirely. James, she started, her voice suddenly soft and pleading. I was just checking on Hillary, making sure she was. We talked about this, Ashley. James cut in. You agreed to let me handle this my way, but she's been lying to us. There's a trust. Millions of dollars I know about the trust. James said quietly. Ashley froze. You know, Mom told me last week. Dad explained everything in a letter he left with his lawyer. I only just received it. Ashley's face was a mixture of shock, betrayal, and the dawning realization that her careful manipulations were unraveling. I'm bringing the kids to see their grandmother, James continued firmly. We'll talk when I get home. Ashley stormed out without another word. slamming the door behind her. Hillary sat down, her hands shaking slightly as the adrenaline faded. The confrontation had been inevitable, but knowing that didn't make it any easier. An hour later, Emma and Lucas burst through the door, their small arms wrapping around Hillary in fierce hugs that melted away all the unpleasantness with Ashley. James stood in the doorway, watching with a complicated expression. "Are you going to come back home now?" Grandma Lucas asked, his eyes hopeful. "This is my home now, sweetheart," Hillary said gently, "but you can visit me any time you want." As the children explored the apartment, James moved to stand beside Hillary. "I should have seen it sooner," he said quietly. "We see what we want to see," Hillary replied, "especially when it comes to those we love." James's jaw tightened, a gesture that reminded Hillary of Frank. Things will be different now. She didn't ask what he meant. Some journeys, she knew, he would have to take on his own. That evening, after James and the children had left with promises to return soon, Hillary received a text from Robert inviting her for coffee the next morning. As she typed her acceptance, she realized something profound in trying to take everything from her. Ashley had inadvertently given her the greatest gift of all, the chance to rediscover herself. At 69 years old, Hillary's life wasn't ending. It was finally beginning. 3 months passed in relative calm. Hillary's life settled into a gentle, self-chosen rhythm. Watercolor classes on Tuesdays, book club on Thursdays, coffee with Robert most mornings in the community room. James brought Emma and Lucas to visit every weekend, sometimes staying for dinner himself. They never spoke about Ashley during these visits, but her absence spoke volumes. One morning, as Hillary was tending to her balcony plants, James arrived with an elegant cream-colored envelope. He looked both hopeful and uncertain. "It's from Ashley," he said, handing her the envelope. "She wants to have a reconciliation dinner. She says she's been reflecting, and she's been seeing a therapist." Hillary turned the card over in her hands. The handwriting was unmistakably Ashley's, precise, flawless, and a little too formal. "She wants to make amends?" Hillary asked, raising an eyebrow. James nodded, his voice quiet. "We've been in counseling. Ashley's been seeing someone individually, too. The therapist suggested this dinner as a first step. I know you have every reason not to trust her, but I want my family back. Mom, not like it was before, something better, something healthier." That evening, Hillary called Meredith for advice. "It's a trap," Meredith declared immediately. "That woman doesn't change her spots. She's planning something." "Maybe," Hillary conceded. "But what if she's genuinely trying? Don't I owe it to James to at least try?" Meredith's voice softened. "You don't owe anyone anything after what they put you through. But if you're asking if you should go, I think you already know your answer." The next morning, over coffee, Hillary told Robert about the invitation. "Will you go?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "I think I have to," Hillary admitted. "Not for Ashley, but for James, for the children, and maybe for myself, to show I'm not afraid anymore." Robert squeezed her hand gently. "Whatever you decide, remember you're not alone." Saturday evening arrived all too quickly. Hillary chose her outfit carefully, a sage green dress Frank had always loved, pearl earrings, a touch of lipstick. Looking in the mirror, she saw not the diminished woman who had fled that house 3 months ago, but someone stronger, more certain. James picked her up at 6. The drive to the house was mostly silent, each lost in thought. Inside, the house smelled of roasting chicken and fresh flowers. Emma and Lucas rushed to greet her, their hugs washing away her anxiety. "Grandma, we made dessert," Lucas announced. "Chocolate cake, your favorite," Emma added. "And we didn't let Mom help at all." Ashley appeared in the doorway, looking different, less polished, more human. Her hair was pulled back, her makeup subdued. "Thank you for coming." "Hillary," she said, her voice softer than Hillary remembered. "It means a lot to all of us." Dinner was polite, almost too polite. Ashley asked about Hillary's new apartment, her art class, her book club. The children filled the silences with stories. Still, Hillary waited for the other shoe to drop. After dinner, James took the children upstairs. Ashley lingered, refilling Hillary's water glass. "I know you don't trust me," Ashley said quietly. "You have no reason to. What I did, how I treated you, it was unforgivable. I won't insult you by asking for forgiveness." "Then what are you asking for?" Hillary asked, her voice steady. Ashley looked down, a chance to show I'm trying to change. Not for you, not even for James, for Emma and Lucas. I don't want them to grow up thinking that's how family treats each other. For the first time, Hillary saw genuine regret in Ashley's eyes. "What changed everything?" Ashley replied. "When James found out what I'd been doing, the manipulation, the lies, he gave me an ultimatum. Get help or get out. He said he'd failed you, and he wasn't going to fail his children the same way." James returned with the children, and the evening ended with hugs and laughter. As James drove Hillary home, he apologized quietly. "I'm sorry, Mom, for not seeing what was happening, for not protecting you, for choosing the easy path instead of the right one." "You're doing the right thing now," Hillary said softly. "That's what matters." Inside her apartment, Hillary found a text from Robert Hope. "The dinner went well. Coffee tomorrow." She smiled, typing back a simple yes. Whatever happened with Ashley and James, Hillary knew one thing for certain: she would never again surrender her independence or her dignity. That chapter of her life was closed forever. A year had passed since Hillary left her old house and faced Ashley with the calm and self-assurance she had always longed for. Now, she sat on the small balcony of her new apartment, surrounded by vibrant flowers she had tended through all 4 seasons. The morning sun shone through the leaves, casting a gentle golden hue on her silver hair. The air was fresh and peaceful, and the laughter of Emma and Lucas echoed from the living room, where the children were preparing her birthday cake. James stepped out onto the balcony, holding an old photograph. He had changed a lot over the past year, more composed, his eyes no longer carrying the weight of exhaustion. "I found this while sorting through old things," he said, handing his mother a picture of her and Frank in their youth, standing by a lakeside, their faces full of hope for the future. "Dad would be so happy to see you this content," James whispered. Hillary smiled, tears shimmering in her eyes. "I believe so too." The small birthday party was warm and intimate, attended by those who truly cared: Meredith, her lifelong friend, James and the 2 grandchildren, and Robert, the man who had brought back to Hillary the feeling of being cherished and understood. Ashley was not there. After their reconciliation, she had tried to change, but soon slipped back into her old ways. In the end, James chose to divorce her, seeking a peaceful life for himself and his children. Ashley moved to Chicago to live near her sister, only occasionally seeing Emma and Lucas during school holidays. After blowing out the candles, Lucas eagerly asked his grandmother to give a speech. Hillary stood up, looking around at the room filled with laughter. "A year ago, I could never have imagined today. I've learned that it's never too late to start over, to find happiness and freedom for yourself." Everyone applauded, and Robert gently squeezed her hand under the table. After the party, when the guests had left, he handed Hillary a small box containing a silver key. "It's the key to my cottage by the lake. I'll be moving there for good at the end of this summer. If you'd like, the little guest house next door will always be waiting for you." Not as a tie, but as a choice for freedom and companionship. Hillary was touched, realizing she had truly entered a new chapter. She was no longer the woman who had been controlled and diminished, but someone independent, loving, and loved in return. 2 weeks later, Hillary and Robert went to Lake George. The little house nestled in nature, facing the blue water, was peaceful and inviting. Emma and Lucas played in the yard. James helped his mother arrange her books, while Hillary sat on the porch, enjoying the cool breeze and a deep sense of tranquility. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Hillary sat alone on the porch, gazing at the star-filled sky reflected on the lake. She thought about her journey, the pain, the loneliness, the moments she stood up for herself, and, ultimately, the freedom she had found. Ashley had thought she could take everything away, but her selfishness had opened a new, fuller, and happier life for Hillary. She smiled, silently thanking Frank, Meredith, and even the challenges that had made her stronger. She knew that, at any age, everyone deserves to live a life of their own, one filled with dignity, love, and hope. Ending Hillary had found herself again, rebuilt her family relationships on a foundation of respect and love, and opened her heart to new happiness with Robert. The story closes with the image of a strong, independent woman, ready to embrace all the good things in life, no matter her age or past wounds. Hillary's journey reminds us all sometimes what feels like an ending is actually the beginning of a new, brighter chapter. If you were in Hillary's shoes, what would you have done? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to stand up for yourself or start over? Share your thoughts or personal stories in the comments. I truly love reading every single one. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another inspiring journey. And if you want to explore more meaningful stories, check out the videos appearing on your screen now. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. See you in the next story.